Hey everyone, I'm Krista Watanabe.
And I'm Neoshia Roemer, and this is Wires from the Deep.
Welcome to Wires from the Deep, a Silo Series podcast. Today is Sunday, July 26, 2026. Just realized 26, 26. You're listening to episode 34, Weekend at Bernie's. Today in Neoshia, I will be breaking down the fourth episode of Silo Season 3, Whatever You Do, Don't Go Home.
This episode was released on July 24th, 2026. It was written by Jessica Blair and directed by Eric Avellino.
So this week has been kind of exciting for promotional stuff because Apple TV is at Comic Con. A lot of stuff dropped. I guess their panel must have been on Saturday because a lot of stuff came online late Saturday. But yeah, like new trailers came out. They announced that Silo season 4, the final season, is going to come out next summer 2027. So that's really exciting. It's nice to have that date already set. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's nice to also know it's just a year.
Yeah.
Because even though it's a year, I mean, it's still more reasonable than, the 2 and 3 year wait, even that we're seeing for
Yeah.
some shows.
Yeah. And I mean, people are used to, I think, yearly seasons. That's kind of like the standard I think people expect,
Mhm.
right? Especially for shorter seasons.
Yeah, and especially coming off of, the network TV tradition where, you
Hmm.
traditionally had the seasons from late September, early October to, late April, early May, which is about 9 months or so. But yeah, you're used to kind of getting everything yearly. So, I mean, to me, summer 2027 makes sense.
I mean, the word season kind of implies that, it's going to be a yearly thing, right? So,
Right, right. But I mean, I just think more and more we've gone to seeing like every 2 years, every 3 years. And sometimes it's because of, oh, it takes a while to make this series. I've also seen things about like just production, and maybe that's why some of the studios, the people who are making the products, maybe they prefer shorter seasons because they can do more of these, right? Like Apple TV can make many, many, many shows. But
yeah.
then also actors, directors, producers can also be involved in many, many shows.
But I mean, they can make many more, but also I feel like they put more into these short seasons now because if you look at the budgets for some of these shorter seasons and it's a lot crazier than like network shows and things like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the budget for these types of shows is a little wild.
looking at you, Severance.
Yeah, like Severance was like what, 20 million an episode?
Yeah, something crazy like that. It's like, what?
And what's kind of crazy about that is that's a show that has pretty simple sets.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not talking about huge CGI endeavors here, and so I don't know anything about the financing of this and why it costs so much, but point is, definitely I think these shows are taking a little bit more money to make, maybe even more time given how they're shot. But I think, I don't know, maybe this isn't the time or place to get into it. I haven't really seen this much on the Silo sub or Discord server, and maybe I just haven't gone looking for it. But it also kind of engages that classic, do we want the 22 episode season or do we want the 10 episode season conversation? Because when you originally made your comment about, what these shorter shows have, I was thinking, oh, well, they don't have the classic filler
The
episodes. I'm not getting all
fillers.
yeah. But then we see shows like, I think, Paradise, which we have previously discussed, did this really well where we didn't have filler, but we had a lot of character notes in that
Yeah.
show.
But also, I feel like there's so much complaining about pacing, about nothing happening, and stuff like that on Silo that I feel like if we had filler episodes, people would just get so frustrated because like audiences don't seem to have any patience anymore, just because
No.
of we're in the binging era, right? So everybody needs it like right now, and
Yeah. And I have such a hard time with the comments of like, "Oh, nothing's happening," because I'm like, I feel like a lot's happening.
yeah, I
We're getting a lot
know.
of information right now, and I don't know, maybe, and I've mentioned this before, but like, I'm the kind of person I like to see the why things are happening and like where this is rooted and
Yeah,
what's kind of, and for me, season 3 of Silo is really coming into that, right? Where we're starting to see the why and the who, the what for. And so for me, a lot is happening. But yeah, I don't know that audiences necessarily have the kind of patience for, the longer seasons, but I also think it's a trade-off. And I don't say this to be unkind because Lord knows I love procedural TV shows.
Hmm.
I still watch NCIS, which I know some people do, some people don't. Some people still watch Grace, some people don't. Some people still watch SVU, some people don't, right? Whatever, it is what it is. But for me, those types of shows, while they are interesting and while I will follow them probably until I'm dead or they're off TV, whichever comes first, you know, it's background noise a lot of the time. It's not the kind of
Yeah.
thing that you really have to pay attention
Yeah.
to scene to break down in the way that we talk about shows like Silo.
Yeah, like I feel like with Silo, if you like leave the TV on and you go to the bathroom and you come back, you can have missed like so much context and you're not going to understand like everything that comes after. So you have to sit there and you have to pay attention. You have to not look at your phone and I mean we as like hardcore fans, we pick it apart like every little thing, every little line, every little detail, that can trigger some kind of thought in a hardcore fan's mind. And that's how it should be with a show like this because they've put so much intricate detail and attention into it. So
Hmm.
I feel like you're disrespecting the work they put in if you don't give it your full attention just for 45 to 50 minutes, right?
Yeah, whereas like I don't have to do that with some of the 22 season or 22 episode season procedurals. And again, that's not meant to be disrespectful because I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I can tell you the plot or everything that happened that was a major plot point in the last season of NCIS without having, broken it down to this degree. So,
I mean, it's like that. It's like that with FBI. I mean, I can
yeah.
do the dishes while I watch FBI, and I can walk out of the room and come back and still know what's going on, basically,
Yep.
because it's formulaic, right? It's not like continuous. You basically know all the tropes to expect per episode, so it's pretty standard.
Right.
And also, people these days don't seem to know that you can rewind very easily. So
Mhm.
if you miss something, just go back.
Right. You can
Instead,
rewind.
people go online and they're like, "Hey, so I watched this and I don't get this." And it's like, "Did you even see it?" Because that's not.
That is a little it's a little annoying and I don't want to get on a tangent or a tear, but like I think it just kind of comes back to where we are in the digital era at large where if I don't get something, I'm just going to go talk about it. And I kind of applaud people who ask questions more so than go on this like rant of like, I don't get it. Or what we've been seeing in the silo sub, which is like, nothing's happening. Instead of asking the question of like, what did I miss? Or how did other people see this? Like, I appreciate that kind of dialogue a lot more. But I think something that happens in the digital era is if I didn't get it or if I didn't see it, then I'm just going to go ask other people to tell me as opposed to trying to get it. And so that's kind of where we are right now. But you're absolutely right. You can rewind, you can rewatch. In fact, I typically watch one of these episodes of Silo 2 or 3 times before we talk about it. And I still feel like each week we're a little deficient at something, right? In terms of what we caught or what we discussed. And it just happens.
I mean, I okay, so just to reiterate, I have no problem with people trying to figure something out and still not understanding and then asking because asking is kind of a vulnerable thing sometimes. It's like, am I stupid? Did I not get this? So I get that, but it's the people who obviously who obviously just haven't been paying attention and
Right.
haven't tried at all to try to learn what they missed. If you don't get something, then that I get. It's good to ask because then you can have people who can explain it to you. And that's the good thing about fandom is that people are there to help you figure things out. But it's when you're obviously not even trying to help yourself. That's where it gets me upset.
Yeah, and again, I think that's just where we are with the digital era and like sort of our media literacy moment, right? Where not everyone has that sort of drive. And I don't want to come off sounding like super elitist or anything about this, but like not every show is for everybody. And we ideally would want shows to have really mass appeal because obviously you get a larger audience. That's how shows stick around. But also, Not every show is for everybody. And I remember when Fringe was first on in its first run and talking to someone about this and how one of the reasons that the show kind of suffered and struggled after season one is people not really wanting to think about what the show was doing because it wasn't coming out and telling you, oh, here's the major plot point. It was kind of threading it. And so, if you're the kind of person that doesn't like to sort of think and sift through things, I think shows like Silo can become a little bit frustrating and tedious for you,
Hmm.
to the point where you're kind of like either either you're the person constantly asking what's going on, or you're the person that's making the comments of nothing's happening.
Yeah, and like I feel like with Fringe, like like for the first season, it was pretty monster of the week, pretty standard. You could tune in any week and it'd be kind of fine. But like pretty much from like towards the end of season one on, it was a very continuous storyline. So if you tuned out for a couple of weeks, you could come back later and be like, "What the heck is going on? I don't understand anything." And it's because it had turned into like a full on myth arc kind of show, right? So
Hmm.
and it's like that for these shows now too. It's like you have to watch every episode. You can't skip out and then come back in and just pick right back up and know what's going on, right?
Right. Like you have to watch each one of these episodes. And I mean, at least try to pay attention and try to catch the things. And again, like you can always rewatch. And I know there are people who I've talked to people who are like, I don't rewatch anything. I watch it one
Yeah.
time. And that's okay. But if you're really invested in sort of the plot and like getting all of the plot points, you may have to rewatch it. And that's okay. Right. Like I just said, I typically rewatch, or I will typically watch an episode of Silo 2 to 3 times before we talk about it. And then after the fact, I'm like, oh, wait, did we forget something? Or did I think about that wrong at the time? It just is what it is, right? Like there's no shame in rewatching and trying to pick up on what you missed.
Yeah, I mean, I watched this week's episode 4 times, which is one more than I usually do, and I still had missed something like in the third time I was like, "Oh, I totally didn't pick up on this," so yeah. I think it's just because when you're watching, you pay attention to certain things, and maybe you don't necessarily, you're looking for a certain something, and so your attention is not looking at something else.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so to get back to Comic Con, there was an impromptu concert held by Common on Friday. So
Yeah.
people who showed up to look for that got treated to that. And then I believe they had their panel on Friday. So I haven't seen any videos for that yet, but it looked like everybody was there.
Yeah. And then also, too, do we know if they're doing, because I'm not sure how this has worked in recent years. Do we get like official Comic Con video or are we looking for a fan to post the video
um,
of the panel,
I
that is?
I think it depends. They might put one up. I don't know.
Yeah. Because in the
But
years when
the
I
cast is
attended,
the cast is doing interviews too, so
oh, yeah, that's true.
because I
There's a lot of
saw
press.
a video from Variety with the cast seated like in a room, so there's going to be some of
Okay.
that coming out too.
Yeah. Because I mean, there's a lot of pressers and things around Comic Con. Because I mean, it's one big marketing event, is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've
Mm-hmm.
been before, right? To
Yeah.
SDCC?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
went
It's
once.
It's one big marketing event. Not I don't know that I mean that in a bad way, but it's about all about marketing the different shows and obviously the big names like Disney and Marvel have the most pull at those events, but it's nice to see like shows like Silo and other Apple TV shows getting that sort of fanfare there as well.
So did you see the video of their activation, their offsite activation?
No, I didn't.
It looks really cool. They built this whole rusted structure, and you could go inside and you look down and you could see the up. You could look up and down. I don't know how they did it. It was like some kind of illusion or video or something where you could look up and down and it looked like you're looking into this actual silo.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't see the video, but I saw the photos of the outside like that looked like the
Yeah,
big
yeah, yeah.
rusted silo.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes to a video that someone posted on Twitter. But yeah, it looked really cool, and they were giving away some cool swag too. I'm really jealous. They were giving away silo pins and fobs and things. So
Well,
that looks
obviously
pretty
you needed
cool.
another duck. You need another duck pet. Is what you need.
Okay, let's get to the episode breakdown. So it picks up right after where the last episode did. Camille is leaving the vault. at the end of the last episode, she told the overseer that she was going to kill Juliet. So it starts off with her leaving, but she stops and she looks conflicted. And I appreciate that they took the time to do this because, as listeners know, I don't like Camille.
No, I haven't
So
heard that before.
so if she had just left and been like, okay, I'm gonna go kill her, I would have been like even more like in my hate camp. But the fact that she's just like, oh my god, I can't believe I have to go do this, like all these emotions on her face, I appreciated that because it made her seem a little more human, I guess, especially coming off of the whole thing in the mines that she did.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think this sets me up for a lot of, this particular episode set me up for a few conflicted Camille feelings. I will put it that way. Because I think I get why she, is set on killing Juliet. I think what we're seeing play out in this episode kind of muddies that a little bit.
So she radios Emerson, who I'm so sorry. I have been calling her Erickson for weeks, I think. Her name is Emerson. The new Amundsen. It's so funny because whenever people talk about her, they're like, "Who is this lady?" I feel like they didn't transition her into the new season very well.
Hmm.
But she radios medical and she needs a message delivered to the nurse Amy. And then she's heading out. She goes through IT and Robert is there. And she basically tells him, okay, I need you to start the paperwork for a new mayor. And he's like, what? He's like, she's not going to make it? And she says, yeah, she's not going to survive the night. And then she tells him this, but he knows what's going on because he says it wants what it wanted 3 months ago, but the gas didn't do the job. So he is referring to the voice. And it's sometimes easy to forget, even for me, that he has been in that vault briefly, but he spoke to the overseer, right?
Hmm.
It knew who he was, and then it told him to get out.
Yeah.
So he has talked to it, he knows what it is. And it kind of sounds like, based on what he says, that it wanted what it wanted 3 months ago, that he either had additional conversations with it or she's told him what it wants, right?
Yeah, and it kind of made me think of something that you brought up a couple episodes ago in terms of his own memories and whether he really has his own memories
Mm-hmm.
or if he's being, memory implanted. The other thing I kind of wanted to bring up about this particular scene is I didn't notice this on my first watch, but if you pay attention to how this scene is shot, I think it's kind of brilliant because it's kind of framing Sims and, well, I guess Robert, because they're both Simses,
Yeah.
Robert and Camille in literal opposition to each other. They're on
Yeah.
literal opposing ends of the room in a very tense way, making their way towards each other. And I thought that was an interesting, just directing choice in that particular scene.
But he basically knows what the score is. He knows that she is going to go and kill Juliet. And he actually offers to do it for her. And at the time, when I first watched it, I was like, of course you want to kill her for her. You hate
Right.
her. um, but we know afterwards, in hindsight, that he's actually probably planning something else, that he's probably offering to go kill Juliet so that he can help her get away, right? Because he's trying to make it sound convincing. He's like, oh, you don't have to do it alone, I should come with you. And I feel like this is just, it's an interesting clue leading up to what they reveal at the end, the twist,
Yeah.
when he shows up in the room.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that was such a short-lived twist, and I know we'll talk about it when we get there, but, like, it was very short, very abrupt. Love it.
But okay, so going back to the whole thing about it wanting her dead 3 months ago, that isn't something that I think we knew, right?
Mm-mm.
The overseer wanting her dead when she first returned. So, do we think Camille persuaded it not that they shouldn't take that course of action, or how do we? And I don't know. Maybe that's why Camille knows about the safeguard. Maybe she didn't want to do anything about Juliet. So I told her, well, if you want to be like that, I have this thing that I can do to you guys. So,
Yeah, and I mean, like, we hadn't heard this yet, and I think it raises an interesting point in terms of what is this one life of Juliet worth if we're running up to the point where we're possibly impacting the lives of the 9,900 people in this silo, right?
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting that we are getting the impression that maybe killing Juliet had been floated before,
Mm-hmm.
but someone else maybe presented an option two, and it
Yeah.
seems like option two is failing.
Yeah. Because she's one of the 10% who resist this memory therapy, right? So, but okay, so next we go to Emerson down in medical. She's telling Nurse Amy that Camille has asked that Juliet be unconscious when she arrives. So that adds more to this conflict within Camille. So she's not quite as sociopathic as we were speculating about last last week, because she knows she has to go kill her, but she doesn't want her to be awake when she does it. She doesn't want her struggling or screaming or anything like that. Although it kind of seems like Emerson would have no problem with that, because Amy tells her, "Oh, hold her down," and so she starts struggling because I feel like Julia can sense what's about to happen, right? So she's struggling, and it gets violent. I mean, she's holding her down, she's covering her mouth, she's trying to scream for help, and it was so disturbing to me, this scene in like as a whole, because Amy just looks kind of mean, and she's got that syringe in her hand, she's approaching, and I didn't really see what was coming, that she was going to inject Emerson in the neck. So that was a real surprise for me. Then the violence that comes after too. So
Oh yeah, like because she completely just like wigs out. You would have thought she gave her PCP or something. The way that she like hulked out, right?
she hulked out.
Yeah, and so I also didn't really see that coming. My comment here was I thought it was strange that Emerson removed the oxygen mask from Juliet, and instead she chose to put her hand over her mouth
Mm,
to like subdue her, which I was just like, why would you do that? Because by removing the oxygen mask, she's already strapped down. She's giving her that didn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. That's all I'm gonna. I guess I can leave it right there on the. It just seemed very weird thing to do.
it was just very violent. Emerson just slaps her across the face. She throws her to the floor. She drags her across the floor. She lifts her up and like is like pushing her up against the wall and choking her. I was freaked out. I was so terrified for Amy, and I was like, "Oh my god, this poor woman. She looks so tiny, and this Emerson lady is so big, and like she's just beating the crap out of her." I was just very concerned.
Yeah, yeah, and finally she just falls over. Right, like
I know.
the drug takes effect.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, thank God." And poor Juliet, she's just struggling on the bed, like she's watching her poor nurse having the life choked out of her. Oh, that was a very stressful scene, and it gave me goosebumps the first time I watched it. I was just like, my heart was pounding, and I was just like, "Wow."
Yeah, because like I didn't know how that was gonna end, and depending on which way that ends, it's either good or bad for Juliet, right?
Yeah, yeah. But then the intro plays, and Tim Robbins was still in it. So I was like, hey, this is the fourth week in a row. It was like helping cement in my mind. He's coming back. He's coming back. Because why would they still have him in the credits when he hasn't been even seen in the episode? And I mean, someone on Reddit told me that in Hollywood they sometimes do this, and they'll put like on IMDb it says credit only in parentheses, and I've seen that before too. But still, I was just thinking, but why are they doing that if he's dead and gone? I mean, I was like, and they haven't even been showing him in flashbacks too. So I just kept thinking, hmm.
And also too, like whether or not he appears in the opening credits, I believe that's a contract issue.
Mm,
In terms of because like I used to think about this so much differently. I'm like, oh, if they're in so many episodes, of course they should be in the credits. But apparently there are layers to that. And so it's more of a contract. My understanding is it's more of a contract issue in terms of like what he contracted for.
mm.
And so leaving him in the credits may be a choice, may not be a choice based on what he's contracted for.
So then we go to the past. Daniel and Helen are leaving Steve's, and she turns and asks him, "What are you doing?" Because I have started calling him Sweet Summer Daniel. Because
Sweet summer chat.
he's so sweet and innocent. But winter's coming for this man, you can tell. but he's about to call someone. I'm assuming the police, right? And she's like, no. And she grabs his phone and stomps on it. And he's just like, what the fuck? And it's such a typical sweet scene between the two of them where he's just like ready to do the thing that he thinks he's supposed to do. And she's just like, no, no, this is not. No, wake up. I really like that dynamic about them. But she's like, they're probably monitoring our calls, and she starts rambling about how maybe her car is bugged, and they've got a tracker on her, and he's just like,
Yeah.
what?
I mean, she doesn't seem crazy to me. He seems just like you said, sweet summer Daniels, precious cinnamon roll. But you know what? In his defense, it would suck if someone smashed my iPhone. I would not like that
Yeah,
either.
yeah,
But she's probably not wrong because, like, the quickness with which these people are moving and, like, obviously following them, right? Like,
yeah. I thought it was funny though that she's just like, okay, I have a place that we can go, but don't show up here until 10. And then she tells him to like go do something else until then. Just don't go home, and that's all she tells him. And later on, it turns out because she's just like, so what'd you do in the interim since the last time I saw you? He's like, oh, I just walked around.
yeah.
It's like, so funny. But okay, so it goes back to the present, and Shirley's running up the stairs, and she runs into Knox, and this is where she learns that Jules went into the mines and she got poisoned, so she's in medical, and she's so upset that like she ignored her request for help, and then she yelled at her, and I hope this kind of brings to a close people's hatred for Shirley and how she's acting towards Juliet, because she finally understands, she's been in the wrong. And I've been supportive of Shirley in people just being upset with how she's been treating Juliet, because I don't know, I just, like I said in the past, I just understand that she's hurt and she's lashing out. She seems to have come around now.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know. This is one of those things where I think there's a lot of gray area in human interaction, right?
Yeah.
If you're in Shirley's position, I think you're more likely to understand why she's acting the way she's acting because she's hurting too. Juliet is clearly the victim of a campaign of some sort that we're finding out, but like her friends and family are also victims of this as well.
Yeah.
And so I think it's all a matter of degree and what's happening. But yeah, I mean, Shirley is back with Jules right here in this episode.
So Shirley sprints up to medical, and in the meantime, the Simses arrive at medical, and they find Emerson unconscious. Amy smuggles Juliet out. Then we have Karen's and Paul going to talk to the medical examiner. They're there to get confirmation that Orla died of rat poison, but he says she didn't. He says, okay, and so this is new information for us, because we had speculated last week, that the overseer had said that the population count only went down by one, so it didn't
Mhm.
seem like a lot of people died in the mines like we were initially made to think. But here we have the ME, or whatever he is in this case, saying that he's got a full house of people whose cause of death was aerosol based rat poison. So a lot of people did die in the mines.
Yeah. And I think this is, well, I don't think this is not the first time in this season, even where we've seen a distinction between what we're told is the official count versus the unofficial count. It's like with the rebellion, for example, we're
Mm-hmm.
told that it's only Juliet's dad who died.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be, violent or
Bloodless.
bloodless. Thank you. It was supposed to be bloodless. So, and he was the only one who died. Meanwhile, Kathleen is like, yeah, so I saw the bodies stacked
Yeah.
three deep, and they were putting them in the incinerator, and so this isn't the first time. And I think it's an interesting point in terms of the official narrative that we're getting from the AI, which is like, oh, only one death. We're down from 9913 to 9912 versus like the people on the ground saying, no, there were more people who died. And I'm also just really curious about this count at this point. Like, how
Yeah.
accurate is the count
Yeah.
even?
Somebody in Discord pointed out that maybe it wasn't speaking in terms of accurate count, and it was just telling it to Camille in like terms of it'll go down by one if you get rid of Juliet, which actually makes sense to me. So
It might. It might. I probably should. I haven't watched that in a week, so I'm not going to discount that. But it does seem like there is some distinction here. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Because if I recall correctly, that number count was given after the poisoning. So,
yeah, yeah.
anyway,
I,
anyway.
I know, but I think what they're saying is that it's telling her that if you kill Juliet, the count will go down by one, and this is how many lives you'll be responsible for. But I think what we can glean from this is that the overseer doesn't have quite as much reach as we thought it did.
Yeah, and I mean, because I think it was last week when I was like, "Is there some kind of tracker? Do we have like
Yeah,
bio trackers that are tracking when
yeah,
people's bio signals end?" Or and it doesn't seem like we do. It seems like they're kind of just winging it.
yeah. But so an important part here is that, he says her lungs were clean. She was struck in the back of the head. That's what her cause of death was, blunt force trauma. And he says it was probably from a piece of rebar because of the ribbed pattern in the wound. And I was like, rebar.
If
What's
only
this
there
in
were
here?
rebar missing.
What that tells me is that because Orla had gone to go investigate. So
Hmm.
maybe she found the missing rebar. The person who found her was like, "Oh, there's a stack of stolen rebar here," and they pick one up, and there's their murder weapon. So that's what her the murder weapon tells me is that she found the missing rebar, and she was discovering it.
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean, she went on her mission and she answered the question she was looking to solve, but
Yeah,
she then died, unfortunately.
yeah.
I was just kind of curious why they left her in the mines. Like, do we think this is one of those things? Because we've seen them talk about it before with like the vitamin D plus, for example, where they can only transport at night. So they have to do it over the course of several days. Do we think this is one of those situations where maybe her body was being stored in the mines temporarily so that they could get it down to the incinerator?
No,
Or,
yeah, I think that's what they were saying is that because the Emmy's saying that she wasn't in the mines when she died because there's no
right,
dust in her lungs, so she was probably not killed in the mines. This missing rebar was somewhere else in the silo, and they killed her there, and then they hid her body in the mines.
right.
Because they told Karen's told Billings that they found her way back in a closed off tunnel. So I think Daddy Harwood helped hide the body, you know.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, Glenda Harwood is looking pretty suspicious.
Yeah. I mean, like, she actually just looks suspicious, like, just when she's on screen. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
this is not helping her. Yes.
Yeah, so I think, we're meant to think that she was killed elsewhere, hidden in the mines, and that makes the Harwoods look really guilty. But we'll see because they've been making other people look pretty guilty of certain things, only to find out that, it's not them.
And I do think, because we did mention like Linda looking pretty guilty, it would be a little too on the nose if it's Linda.
Yeah,
Um, because
yeah,
like that tension was set in episode one with her dad and Carla, or excuse me, her dad and Orla. The other thing I wanted to mention here with regard to this scene is I'm really interested to see where this case goes because we've seen Paul through the season. We haven't seen him too much. He's someone who I would say in the first two seasons is more of a central character. But every time we've seen him this season, he just looks like a shell of a person.
yeah,
And is
yeah. He
not
doesn't look
looking,
well.
no, he doesn't. And so I'm just really curious to see where his story is headed and how this is connected into the larger plot.
And he feels kind of removed. I mean,
Hmm.
his wife is deep in the thick of this whole main storyline. She's an outsider. She's conspiring with Patrick Kennedy. She's hiding Lucas. She's doing all these things while still being a mom, too, I might add.
Yeah. She's just put that baby on her and she just got to work.
But meanwhile, Billing seems to be on like his own like Law and Order case. he's
Yeah. Or
he's
CSI.
investigating a missing person. But I feel like he'll come back into the mix because this whole rebar or Kent supply thing it's going to be connected back into the main thing. So I think we just have to wait until Billings is brought back into the main fold. But for now, he's off on his own mission.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's gonna be brought back because if anything, this missing rebar ties into like what's going on with
Yeah,
what we're seeing here.
but I have no idea what it could be. I just I can't come up with any crack theories. My Sims memory one was wrong, but I don't have one for this rebar thing. Billings radios Hank to tell him, have Carla meet me in supply. And so this whole thing about Carla has been interesting, and that is something that I didn't really realize until I watched it a couple of times. But we'll get to that later. But so Daniel arrives at this safe house that Helen has directed him to. And he's like, "Oh, clearly this apartment isn't yours," implying that it's too hip for her.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty gorgeous, cool looking apartment, I do have to say. And it
Yeah.
looked like it was set up to host a lot of people. Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah, it's like, actually, I don't know if people in DC actually live like that because that seems like that would be like a multi-million dollar apartment in DC, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
It's
like
like
one
a
of those
loft.
yeah, it's like one of those classic TV lofts.
Yeah, but like it has like a table with like 10 chairs around it and like a long bar for people to sit at, like a breakfast bar in the kitchen area. It was very, very nice place. But Helen says that, I helped pick out the furniture. It belongs to her ex Palmer, who's on assignment in South Sudan. But he notices a large photograph of Helen still on the wall, and he's like, "Wow, first thing I do when I end the relationship is bury all evidence deep in the earth." Which I was like, foreshadowing.
Yeah, for sure, right? But that was a good photo though.
It
Like, I thought that was,
was.
yeah, insanely good. I would keep it.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, while Daniel was walking around to clear her head, Helen went and stole her laptop from her old office, which is such a Helen thing.
Uh-huh.
And she found out that Steve is actually named Steve. And she called his cell, and the number was not in use. So she called Mr. Alameda, and his phone was also not in use. So they're wondering what the hell is going on and who are they dealing with? Because, I mean, they must be kind of freaked out. I mean, they've gone and found the guy's place trashed. He's missing. His phone's out of service. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you see in movies, right? And
Right.
I think that must be what Daniel feels like. Am I in a movie about government conspiracy?
Right. And I mean, like, it has to be freaky because, like, everyone they've talked to that has provided them a lead so far is
Disappears.
disappearing. Yeah.
So Helen says maybe they should find another copy of the recording and leak it. And then Daniel brings up the chess game that Steve was playing while they were there. And they both noticed that it was odd. And Daniel comments that, he was a couple of moves away from checkmate and then he just exposed his king. So they speculate that he was actually just using it to communicate with someone else. So they need to find out who he was talking to. And
Mhm.
she says that all she saw of the username was something something Bigfoot lives. And I love the way he just looks at her and is like, that's ridiculous.
I mean, is it
These
though?
are not the types of people that he's used to dealing with, I feel like.
No, no. This is no. I'm just gonna leave it there. Nope, not his type of person.
But my favorite part of this interaction when he's like, "Good job, Nancy Drew," and she's like, "Don't call me that." And some on Discord had pointed out that people probably call her that because her last name is Drew. Her name is
Yeah.
Helen Drew, but she actually takes offense. It seems like, even though she's smiling and joking about it, he's like, "Oh, why is that a sore point?" And she's like, "Call me that again. Find out. I'll kill you. I'll kill you in your sleep."
Yeah, and she says it with a smile too, right? Like, "I'll kill you.
Yeah.
I'll kill you in your sleep." And yeah, I mean, the point about that being her last name makes sense. But I also just it's probably it. That's probably because it is her last name. So she's probably sensitive to being called that, right? Like people are making fun of her. But I just thought the use of Nancy Drew was like very fascinating to me because Daniel and Helen have to at least be in their 30s. And we're assuming, I don't know if we ever got a solid year on when this is happening, where
But
we're
it seems
set.
like it's in the future, right?
Yeah, it has to be like at least now ish or a little bit in the future from now. Cause I mean, we got iPhones and all that. And we have people talking about analog. It doesn't seem too far in the future. Let me put it that way. But Nancy Drew, is that still a thing for people who are of that
I
age
don't
group?
know.
Because it's not for me. I mean, I know who Nancy Drew is. Like, I get that reference, but I would have gone like Harriet the Spy.
Uh,
And so I don't know. Maybe I'm just the weird one here, but I think you're right about the name and why she would be so sensitive to that, right? Like, don't you dare call me that.
she's so cute, though. I love her. All right, so next we have Kathleen waiting with Lucas, and Patrick and Sandy arrive, and Lucas finally tells him that the view on the screens is the real one. And I think it's worth noting here that Lucas telling Patrick this is actually a really big deal. He's
Mhm.
like, this is a question that came up a lot in the first season because people didn't understand why people cleaned and why they put the green video inside the helmet and why that compels people to clean. And so I feel like Lucas actually spelling it out, it's not good that he's telling especially the outsiders this because they're the most fanatical people. And I think I understand why he's doing it. He wants him to know the truth, and he wants him to stop trying to go outside and everything. But I feel like with someone as far gone as Patrick into a conspiracy hole, believing he's being kept prisoner in this silo,
Mhm.
basically being kept from this paradise, he's just not going to believe it, right? And that's exactly what we see, right? He's
Yeah.
confronted with being told it's not what you think. It's actually dead outside. And he just rejects that.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk to you about this because, like, I saw that you had mentioned this in the Discord a couple times about like this being just classic conspiracy theorist. I think my take is a little bit different on it because I do think that there's some conspiracy theoristing afoot here. But like, does Lucas really confront him with any opposition, or is it just a statement? Because if you truly believe something and all someone does is provide you a statement saying, "Here's what it is," has he really provided any real source of evidence that contradicts what Patrick Kennedy is saying? It's just another point or another way of looking at it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know. Like,
and I understand what you mean. Like he's not telling him, I was IT shadow for a few days. I spoke to this computer. I was shown everything, and I have some evidence that I can show you. He doesn't actually show him actual proof, right? So it's just his word, and he's just met this guy. So
right. And like, where's the credibility, I guess, is what I'm saying.
yeah,
Because like
yeah,
I don't think you're wrong in terms of like it is classic conspiracy theorists. Like, so for example, if you run into like a flat earther or a sovereign citizen and they're just like, let me tell you what's really going on. And you tell them like, well, actually, if the world was flat, we would eventually just all fall off of it. And then they're like, that's not true. Like, yeah, that's how conspiracy theorists can
yeah,
be. But I do sort of question, like, is that the same case here with Lucas Kyle, who doesn't really provide any evidence or, throw any credibility behind what he's saying, even though I think he's right. Actually, I know he's right. And how would they know that he's right?
yeah. But I am curious to see what Patrick ends up doing with what Lucas has told him because he doesn't believe it now, but I feel like he's going to store that information, and he's gonna that's going to come back somehow. I like I said, I think
Mhm.
it's a big deal that Lucas has told him what the actual conspiracy is, that they put the green video in the helmet to make them clean, because that still supports what Patrick is saying, is that they're keeping them in the silos. It's just the difference is what the state of the world is, right?
Right.
So we go back to Shirley. She's trying to get into medical, but the raiders stop her outside. And Knox intervenes and he goes to talk to the lead raider. Oh my God, I was so chilled by this conversation. Be-
Yeah.
Great, because the raider's like, oh, you're the leader of Mechanical. You led the rebellion. And he's like, oh, they said that we should march you guys upstairs, but I thought we should put you guys in the generator and light a match. And I was like, oh, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Mhm. Yeah, I
Right?
mean, like, that and just sort of where that led. And I think someone brought this up in the server in that, like, we have, like, kind of multiple rebellions happening at this point, like, different factions.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, not a single one of them is communicating with each other. But yet you still have this sort of main authority that's like, "We need to kill you all."
yeah. And he just gave me the chills just because the look on his face. He looked gleeful almost to be
Mhm.
talking about what he wanted to do to all the people in Mechanical. And I mean, is he stupid or is he just that focused on wanting to cause mayhem? You blow up the generator with all your mechanical people, your silo dies. You die. I mean,
I mean, that and I mean, these people they kinda look like stormtroopers to me, so
he was probably just saying it just to like bluster, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you think about sort of like the real world examples again, like, I mean, just think about how we talk about enemy combatants at any point, right? People we see as enemy combatants and just sort of like the not, well, hopefully not the leadership, but probably the leadership too. But, not uncommon to see your rank and file being like, oh, we should have just killed them or we
Yeah.
should have just done X, Y, and Z to them. And you're like, well, actually, no, we can't do that. That's a war crime. Or in this case, if we do that, we're going to actually blow up the whole silo with everyone in it. And so maybe that's not a good idea.
But yeah, so Knox slugs him, well deserved. And then that gives Shirley the opportunity to sneak into medical. And once she's in there, she overhears the two Sims talking. And Robert is telling the raiders that Jules has gotten away, that she's with a nurse. All the cameras in medical have been shut down. And, that on rewatch sounded suspicious to me. And I feel like he ordered that to be done so that she could get away.
Yeah. And I think that makes sense to me. And I know we're headed there in terms of like talking about the nurse and like who placed her there and like was she a strategic placement and all that.
Hmm.
But that makes sense to me, right? Turning those off and letting her do what she needed to do.
Yeah, yeah. But Camille comes, she's like, how did this happen? We handpicked that nurse. You assured me that she was loyal and always followed orders. And so that, I mean, this stuck in my head and it came back to me like later when they revealed the twist because it's like we know here that Amy was placed in this position to care for
Hmm.
Juliet. He like she says we handpicked her, but it's I mean, she's basically saying that Robert handpicked her. He placed her there. And so he says, and he also says, she must have sensed why we were coming.
Hmm.
And he thinks he knows where Amy is going, that she has family down below. And he assures her that he's going to send raiders and he'll take care of Juliet himself. So that I think is also more of his maneuvering. Like he's
Hmm.
basically trying to get Camille to think, okay, my husband's going to handle it. I can just go focus on other things. He needs her distracted, thinking that he's
Hmm.
got it handled when he's going to go do, you know, his own things that he needs to get done. And he's basically trying to ensure that Juliet gets downstairs somehow.
Right. Um, and so I just again I find this really interesting, like what's going on here with Sims and sort of how throughout this episode you're starting to get a little like little tidbits here and there that
Yeah,
something's afoot.
yeah. It's really interesting to watch on to pay attention to what he's doing on rewatch.
Hmm.
You really get a different perspective after you watch the whole episode.
Yeah.
But I did. So Shirley overhears all this. She goes back out. I don't know how she got back out because the Raiders were out there. The Sims were standing right in front of the hospital, and then somehow she's back at Knox again. I was like,
Oh,
wait, where did you come from?
girl, she sat there and listened to them the whole time. Just sat there, walks right out, starts talking to Knox, and then eventually one of the little stormtrooper dudes, Raiders. I know they're called Raiders, but seriously, they remind me of stormtroopers. Little stormtrooper dude goes over there and is like, if you keep talking to him, you're gonna get arrested. But like she did all of that without being undetected. And so back to your point earlier about the overseer and the surveillance, I think on one hand, we're getting a picture that there's just such strong surveillance in the silo and they can and the AI sees everything. On the other hand, this is like basic detention 101, basic like how do you secure a scene 101 that's just failing all over the place.
Yeah, like basically they had Knox handcuffed to a railing a little bit further down from medical, and then they just left him there with no one to watch him.
Yeah, because at first, like on my first watch, I was just like, so he didn't get arrested? They just beat his ass? Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
You
I
know?
don't know. I feel like that's a convenient thing that they needed him to be on his own so that she could go talk to him or something like that. So Amy shows Juliet how they're getting out, which is through a secret tunnel in a closet. She goes down to the next floor, and I was just like, how many secret tunnels are in this silo that we don't know about, right? People who are, because she basically says someone was too lazy to go down the stairs, so they like dug a hole in the floor in this closet. And this is in medical too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Juliet resists going, and Amy tells her, I'm the reason that you got your memory back. And Juliet's like, yeah, but I've been spitting out my pills. It wasn't you. But she tells her, someone had me replace your drugs before you started spitting them out. So what Juliet was spitting out was placebos, right?
Yeah, which kind of makes sense because I don't think she would have started spitting them out without that first little push. Because even back in episode 1, we see her starting to question a little bit.
Yeah.
So it kind of
And
makes
she's
sense
getting the
that she was,
notes.
hmm that she's already getting some placebo, something to weaken the effect.
Yeah.
And so I do like this conversation because going back to that 10% of people on whom this doesn't work, when you say it that way, and I don't mean you, this is how the show said it. When the show presents it that way, it's presented in terms of like, there's just this 10% naturally resistant population.
Hmm.
It's not that Juliet's naturally resistant, she is actively resisting. And I think that's a difference.
And people are helping her do it. So
Right,
I thought it was so funny though that Julia's like, who? Who asked you to replace them? And Amy's like, we don't have time for that now.
right.
Okay, like, okay. I see. That to me was just like very obvious. The writers don't need you to know that yet.
Right. And I think that's something that this show has been effectively handling this season, like with the tapes and everything, and like, oh, here's what you need to know, cut, and
Yeah.
like, move on.
Yeah. Okay, so next we go back to Billings on his little Law and Order side mission. He's gone to Supply to talk to the man with the dog, and it turns out that that's Mike Davidson. He's the guy that Orla's sister had said is her new boyfriend and was formerly Glenda's boyfriend. But when he tells him that, he's like, "Oh, you're Orla's boyfriend." He looks confused. He's like, "Oh, you heard that from Sheila, who is Orla's sister." And so I'm really curious about all this. He's been getting it from all people that he talks to, other than Sheila, that they're not together, right?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? So he doesn't reveal to Mike that Orla has been found and that she's dead, and he wants to get Mike's perspective, like what's the last time you saw Orla and what was she like? And he tells her, the last time I saw her was after she came back from that council meeting and she was going to go home. And he's like, you don't seem too worried that she's missing. And he just says, well, she's more independent than everyone gives her credit for. And he was busy giving his dog exercise. So I guess he takes the dog into the big warehouse
Hmm.
area and he throws the ball, and that's how his dog gets exercise. So
Like, where do they get the dogs in the silo? And like, how do they control the
yeah,
dog population? Is there just like one
yeah,
breed of dog? And like, how are their genes holding up? I got all these questions that are about dogs.
yeah. I
And
mean
like, how does
cats
this work?
too, because Regina has a Maine Coon. Like that's a very big cat. Like why do they
Mhm.
have those kinds of cats in the silo instead of just like an old tiny little, like, you know alley cat? Like why don't they have just like a plain tabby cat? Why do they have a Maine Coon?
Yeah, no idea. No idea. At least it's not one of those creepy looking Sphinx cats. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The hairless ones.
Yeah.
Nah. So I wanted to ask, do you find Mike suspicious? I don't get any kind of suspicious he's in on it and helped kill Orla kind of vibes from him, but I could be wrong.
No, and the reason I'm gonna say no is because how episode 1 was shot. Like, if you and this is just my recollection, I haven't seen it in a few weeks, but the way that episode 1 is shot is very much like she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go check into this," and he's talking about the whole 3-day trek that they got to take with the vitamin D or whatever. I didn't get the vibe of this person's about to kill her.
Yeah, it was very standard and ordinary interaction, right?
Yeah, and I think what the show has been hinting at is more so there's some weird dynamic going on with the Harwoods and the Kent in terms of like, just let's call it the professional component of this.
So Amy and Jules get out of bed and raiders are searching residences. So Amy says she's going to distract them and she should go to the pump room on 76. And then she leaves her there and she gets hauled away. Then we go back to Helen and Daniel, and she wakes up and finds Daniel gone. She's like, oh my god, she thought he chickened out. But then he comes back and he's got a box of donuts, which makes her upset. She's like, are you kidding me? we have black ops guys looking for us, and you go out for donuts."
Which, I mean, she's not wrong because he's just out here like it's a normal day in DC, just walking around. And yeah, again, precious cinnamon roll Daniel.
But he says he wanted to use the phone, and the guy at the bodega around the corner wouldn't let him use the phone unless he spent $10. And so he's like, "Yeah, so here, breakfast." Those donuts were so big.
They were, but then also it was a little weird that the bodega still has a phone.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Maybe he just meant his cell phone, right? So
maybe. I'm thinking landline, but you're probably right.
it did kind of sound like a landline, but I think that's just probably our age showing that we think that he means landline. But Jules heads to the pump room on 76. But when she goes in the room, Sims comes out from behind like a water heater or something. It's very jump scary. It's like,
Yeah, I mean,
oh my
it's like
god.
talk about things that like happen, like if you blinked and you missed it, because he's like Juliet, and then he's gone.
Like, yeah, he comes out. He's like, "You need to listen to me." And it's like, why would she do that? She thinks you're the enemy, right? You're Darth Vader, and oh my god. But the way that he came out from behind those pipes reminded me a lot of C-3PO coming out of the pipes in episode 3. I don't know why, but
Yeah,
yeah, she runs away, she shuts the door, and Shirley comes running up to her, and she breaks the handle off of the thing.
yeah.
So he's stuck in that room now.
He is, but I'm sure he's fine, right?
Yeah.
It's Robertson. He's gonna be okay. He's gonna make it.
I just thought it was so amusing that he was about to reveal himself. "I'm on your side," and then he gets stuck in
But
that room. It's so
I think
funny.
this is a brilliant writing and directing choice here because he never gets as far as saying, I'm on your side. So it does leave the
Yeah,
viewers wondering, right? Like, what was he about to tell her? Where does he actually stand in this? And then again, like, sort of the brevity here and like how quickly it all happens, to the point that it's comedic
yeah.
as opposed to just like, it's a reveal, obviously, but it's also a comedic reveal because it's like, wait, I gotta tell you, you gotta listen to me. Door closed. So I really liked some of the, like I said, the directing and writing choices in this episode.
But I mean, for me, it's clear that Amy actually meant for her to go meet Sims in that room. So he is
Hmm.
the one who has placed, and it's because of what Camille said about how you said that she was loyal, because that meant that he put Amy there. And since Amy directed her to this room, for me, that meant that he's the one who told her to replace her drugs. To he probably gave her a heads up and said, "My wife is coming down to kill her. You got to stop them." Right? So, like, all these things I feel like are going on behind the scenes that we can't see, but it all came clear to me once he stepped out from behind that heater or whatever it was.
Hmm.
And like you said, it's really funny that like she just slams the door, they lock him in there.
Yeah.
So Shirley is like, "We got to take you down to Mechanical and hide you." And Jules is like, "I need to find Lucas." And Shirley's like, "He's dead." He's like, "No, I found him. He was in the mines." And she asks to go to the Digger Void. And Shirley says it's sealed off, but Jules just tells her, "Please just take me down there anyway, and we'll see what happens." And so next we go to the Pentagon. Helen and Daniel are meeting an old friend of his called Sam Ramsey, who I guess served together with him and was in a band with him called the Lost Boys.
Yeah, which I think is great that Daniel was in a band. I can see that.
And he played saxophone too, because the guy calls him Kenny G,
Yeah.
which I feel like younger people are going to be like, "Who the hell is Kenny G?"
Yeah, probably.
Because Kenny G was like an older, fuddy duddy kind of musician to me when I was in high school.
I mean, yeah, I think it kind of just makes you ask, like, who's writing this? And, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I notice as I get older, this is kind of an aside, but I notice as I get older, like, some of the jokes are very, very on point for my points of reference when I was, like, younger and watching things.
Yeah.
So really talking about like Gen X millennial references, which I could imagine for some Gen Z like
Or Gen
viewers, it's like,
Alpha. Yeah.
yeah, they're like, huh? Who?
Yeah.
Whereas I'm
It's
like,
just
I get
lost
that.
on them, right? Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, I get that one.
Yeah. We're very Captain America. I understood that reference.
Yeah. Or it's like when you're watching, like, because I'm assuming you've seen things like MacGyver or
Yep.
um,
Yep.
Golden Girls and like some of those older like 80s and maybe even 70s shows like Charlie's Angels, and like some of the references you're just like, hmm? Or for me, as someone who loves Saturday Night Live, when I go back and I have done this where I watch, from 75 on, some of the things they're joking about, you're just like, I don't get the reference, but I think that's funny.
Yeah, yeah. So they talk to this guy Sam, and they tell him that they're trying to find someone from an online chess game. Which I was just like, how is he going to be able to get anything from that vague of a lead? But he tells him, "We heard a comms recording of my sister's mission," and that freaks this guy out. He's like, "Oh my god, what are you asking me to do? You're risking my life. You're risking my family. You're risking my job." And he's like, "I'm not gonna help you. If you want to jam, call me, but don't bother me with this kind of stuff because I'm not gonna help you." And so,
Yeah, and I also found it weird that he took this meeting, or he brought this man to this meeting outside like this to make this
yeah.
kind of request, because anyone could be watching. And so again, I just
And literally someone was watching.
right, right. And it's more Daniel than Helen, but just like completely out of his zone here, because his friend has definitely got a target on him. And yeah, as we see when he towards the end here makes a decision, they're gonna know. They're gonna
Yeah.
know where he got information from, right? So
It's a very new move by Daniel.
right, right. It's a new world, but Daniel doesn't understand quite how to navigate that new world.
Yeah, but I mean, as they're standing around talking about what they should do next, he spots the white-haired man, and he says he was at the funeral. And she looks at him, and she's like, "He was at my office when I was fired." And as they're like speculating, "Are you sure? Like, well, who could he be?" He actually comes up to them and talks to them, which I thought was amusing because that would freak me out if I was like, "Who's that guy? What is he doing here? Is he following us?" And then he just literally comes up to you, talks to you, and be like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I mean, like he didn't again, like this would kind of freak me out because it's like this man has no qualms about walking directly up to these people. He's not actually working in the shadows. This is like cigarette smoking man level stuff right here.
Yeah, yeah. And he's in the Pentagon too, so he's got
Mhm.
clearance to be there, right? He's got pull to be where they are.
Right.
So he offers to treat them to coffee, and they go inside to some cafe, and he tells them that Steve, the guy, is because Helen's like, "What'd you do with him? Is he being tortured somewhere?"
Is he at a black site? Like what's going on? Which are right, those are questions that are going to get answered for you for sure. Sure for sure.
But he tells them that he's now part of the Radford Group, a think tank. And he tells him that Mr. Alameda has been given a generous loan to pay off his brother's debt or something, that which I was just like, well, why would his phone be out of service? It just didn't ring true to me. Something is not right there.
Well, I mean, I guess one way to look at that, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I would just add a perspective here, is that perhaps if he accepted a payment of some type, maybe a condition was to cut off
Uh
contact
Change your
with,
phone number and stuff
yeah, and
like that.
so one way to do that would be to change your phone number.
Okay. That would make sense. But he tells them that he's in a position to offer second chances. And to me, this screamed, "I work for a billionaire. I'm his fixer."
Or the government, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
not that there's a
yeah.
world of difference always, but
Helen's like, "Okay, you haven't told us your name," but he actually dodges that. He doesn't tell us what his name is. And he dangles a job at the Times in front of Helen. He's saying he's already talked to the editor, and despite your journalistic fraud, he's interested in talking to you. And oh, poor sweet Daniel looks at her like, "What? Journalistic fraud?"
yeah, because he's never, like she said, like she tells him, like in the next scene, I think it is, like, you've never
Yeah,
gone beyond my LinkedIn page. Like, he didn't do a basic Google.
yeah, yeah. But Daniel's like, "Okay, so what kind of prizes do you have for me?" And then it cuts to the next scene, and he's like, "I can't believe he had the nerve to say that he would cut off Charlotte's care." And Helen's like, "Well, he didn't technically say that." And that like gets Daniel like, "What are you talking about? How do you not see it like that?" And he understands that, she wants that job with the New York Times, and he tells her that, well, maybe like he talks about this journalistic fraud thing. Like you said, she spits at him that, if you'd gone past my LinkedIn profile, you'd already know that. And she's like, of course I want that job. But she says that she cares about Charlotte too. But in the end, they plan to just lay low for a week. He's going to go back to work. She's going to go hide out at Palmer's and think. And that's where they leave things. So next we have Shirley and Jules. They're hiding at the Gap, waiting for somebody to come by. Juliet explains that even though she was on drugs, she had a feel for people. She felt kind of contentious around Knox, but she says that when she's around Shirley, she feels like if anyone were to ever hurt her, she'd kill them.
Mhm. Yep, that's that best friend love.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cute. But a
Mhm.
man comes and Shirley, she tells him, we trust your arms to get us down the Gap by yourself. And can you please just delay any raiders? And we see Sandy watching them. So she goes back to the closet where the outsiders are hiding and she reports back. And once Lucas hears that she's with Shirley, he's like, oh God, I know where they're going. I gotta go stop her. Because he thinks that she wants to go down to the Digger Void and go to that door where the overseer was, right? So
Mhm.
something about Jules going down there, he wants to stop her from doing that, and I don't really know why.
Yeah, I think that, Juliet is kinda getting close to killing the entire silo is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the impression I get too, but I don't understand the why. The details
Right.
of why Lucas feels like that's going to trigger the safeguard.
Mhm. I don't either. I got nothing. But we know who's down there now.
Yeah. So apparently Patrick has a way to travel that Danny says you're not going to like it. And Patrick says, of course he's going to like it. So what do you think that is? I don't think, because they've already done the trash chute thing.
Or sewage system.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks Shawshank Redemption, right? Like, thanks Shawshank Redemption. Like, how does Andy Dufresne get out of that damn prison? Sewage
I,
system.
yeah. And I mean, they've already shown that they tunnel through walls and everything, right?
Mhm.
So next we meet Glenda Harwood, who, oh my god, must have been cast and put makeup on her to make her look like she's like crazy. Because she has that creepy vibe about her, right?
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
she had a very, I don't know, like
it's
stalker girlfriend kind of vibe to her.
no, so I actually had a much less charitable interpretation of her vibe. I'll just come out and say it. She kinda looked like a meth head.
Uh
And I don't and again, that's sorry, that's a terrible thing, it's not very charitable to say, but, like, that's kind of the vibe I got from her was that, and I don't know, if you think about sort of, like, how class is at play in the silo, like, for example, she's from the mining area, like, her
yeah.
family's
Yeah.
miners, right? And so that kinda makes sense, right? Because she's supposed to not fit in as well with the supply people, and that's part of the tension with her or that, Ed Hardwood, introduces early on, and that tension with her and Carla and Orla and, why she's not the shadow anymore and all of that. And so I think that's very much on purpose. Like, she's supposed to come off as, like, low class, which, I mean, maybe meth head isn't the right way to frame that, but she's supposed to come off as, like, seriously low class,
Yeah.
not meant to be here, not really meant to fit in with everyone else. Because even her clothing is different, right? Like,
Yeah.
her clothing doesn't really match the other people in supply.
But she does say some interesting things. Like
Mhm,
she says Carla hasn't been around. And actually earlier Mike Davis had said when Billings had shown up, he told him that Carla hasn't been around for months.
mhm.
So where is Carla, right? I mean, I haven't really paid attention to the fact that she is not around either. But I mean, we know she's still alive because she's in the trailer. So
Yeah, no idea, like, why she's not there, but
yeah.
yeah.
But this is why Glenda says that she's taken over the job is because Orla's missing and Carla isn't around, so somebody has to run supply. Which I mean, that's true, right? So
Right, and if Carla knew that Orla was missing, like, not really sure why she didn't come back, but okay.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, in the first episode, the reason that Orla gave for her being in at the meeting instead of Carla is that she says she's the shadow. She's going to be taking over because Carla still intends to retire. But basically, Carla is not doesn't seem to be going to work either. So she's
Mhm.
doing something else. And as someone in the Discord said, she's probably taking care of someone that everyone thinks Walker is taking care of.
Oh, yeah.
But she admits that she was a little relieved she lost a shadow job because she could go home. And when Paul refers to Mike as her ex-boyfriend and is or like he basically says Orla stole your boyfriend, and she's like, he is not Orla's boyfriend. And so I don't know if that's just denial and they are together, but Mike seemed to indicate that they're not either. So
Yeah, which kind of draws an interesting question as to why Sheila thinks they are.
yeah. So Shirley takes Jules down to the Jigger Void, and on the stairs, Jules stops. She's like, I remember this place. And she's like, yeah, you had a boyfriend, and you used to come down here all the time with him. And she's like, oh, and she remembers his name. It's George. And so they get to the entrance, and it is sealed off, but Jules finds a secret latch to a door, and it springs open, and they hear something. So Shirley goes to see who it is, and Jules shuts the door, and she goes in. And then next we have Daniel. He's been catching up on work. Like he said, he goes to his office and he gets a call, and it's Sam. He's calling from a burner. Like apparently a week has gone by because he says all week what he told him has been itching at him. And
Hmm.
he went down a whole rabbit hole, and when he found it, you won't believe. And then we don't get to hear what it was because next we have Daniel knocking at Palmer's, and he's getting Helen, and he's like, Sam called and he found something and I don't know what to do. He's like, I'm out of my depth, basically. And he takes her to a minivan that he's rented from a lamppost.
Yeah, yeah, because that's
it's,
gonna make us not detectable if we're in a minivan.
it's so Daniel to be like, let's go. I got a minivan.
Hmm.
But then we have Jules. She's going down to her old hideout in the Digger Void, and she finds Bernard, and he's still alive. So when I first saw this episode, I was watching it early, and so I didn't have anyone to talk to. I watched it, and a couple seconds before the cough, I figured it out. I was like, "Oh shit!" And I was freaking out. And then, sure enough, there he is. He's lying there. He's like, "Hello, Juliet." I was like, "Oh, here we go! Finally, he's back."
Yeah. So those who did not believe he died, did not trust those memories, congratulations.
Bernard lives.
Bernard does live, and I mean, I do find it interesting that Tim Robbins with that full-on beard, people are like, "Who is that in the bed?"
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
People in Discord were like, "Who is that? Is that Juliet's dad?" And I was like total face palm. I was like, "Are you kidding me? It's Bernard."
Yeah.
Ay.
So I'm interested to find out is sort of why they've hidden him down there and what's going on with that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's clear that Walker has hidden him down there because they've been saying throughout the season so far, Walker sealed off the Digger Void. Walker sealed off the Digger Void. So to me, that just tells me that Walker has sealed Bernard down there, you know. And now that we've got this information that Carla is missing, is she taking care of him? You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. Okay, so pending. That's the end of the episode. Pending scenes. I don't think we saw any new scenes from the trailer, so this one was like all new content. I feel like.
Yeah.
And then someone pointed out to me on the subreddit something that just blew my mind. And if you don't want to hear future spoilers, I would fast forward maybe like 30 seconds to a minute from here. But basically, they were like, "Oh, Helen looks pregnant in the trailer," and I was like, "What? No, she doesn't."
Yeah, I saw that.
And so I went back to the trailer and I was like, "Holy shit, she does!" Because they said that when she's going down into the silo, she is waddling, and I looked again, and yeah, they have like an overhead shot of her, and it looks like she has her hand on a belly, and she
Mhm.
it does look like she's waddling, and she's actually holding on to the arm of the guy in yellow, like she needs assistance.
Mm. So
So
do we think that's little Daniel's baby there?
maybe. I mean, that seems to be the direction they're setting us in, right? They're not a date. They're not attracted to each other because they bicker all the time. But come on.
Oh, I don't get that they're not attracted to each other. I don't get that. I get the opposite vibe, but I
No, I'm
realize that's
saying
not
that
what the
that's
show
what
is
they're
about.
trying to portray, but it's not.
Right,
It's
right.
not what's happening. So, But yeah, I look forward to seeing whether that's true because yeah, it blew my mind. It went straight over my head when I was watching the trailer and picking apart the trailer. I've seen the trailer a lot and I didn't pick up on that. So I love that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, to be fair, at the time that you're watching the trailer, I don't know that that's something you're searching for because we had no real context for who
Yeah, yeah,
Helen would be or Daniel or anything like that.
yeah. Okay, well, so what have we been watching in the meantime? Since last week, I have gone to see the Odyssey in IMAX. I loved it. It was amazing. I thought I was gonna fall asleep because I was just exhausted when I went to the showing, but I stayed awake the whole time through all 3 hours. It was really good, and I would go again. So if you haven't had a chance to go see that, definitely go see that in theaters. I don't know that you need to see it in IMAX, but definitely big screen. That's a big screen movie kind of thing.
And I watched 3 new shows this week. 3 new shows, people. That is major for me because I am a serial rewatcher, if you haven't noticed. But I watched Widow's Bay, Ride or Die, and Little House on the Prairie, the new one on Netflix. I also started, and by started, I mean watched the first 2 episodes of each, the latest season of King of the Hill, which is hilarious already, and the first 2 episodes of Survival of the Thickest.
So, what did you think of Widow's Bay?
Very funny. Admittedly, I didn't quite connect with the ending of the first season
Mm,
in terms of like this is why this is happening and who the people are because I kind of knew where it was headed,
yeah, yeah, I figured it out too. So,
which is not a bad thing because like you don't always have to be hiding everything for it to be an enjoyable.
I think what matters more is watching the main character, find out, and I think they planned it that way because he was so funny to watch. Matthew Reese,
Mhm.
he was a hilarious, bumbling about, best intentions kind of mayor character, and I think that's what made the show for me is that he was just trying so hard to do the right thing, do what's good for his town, and yet stumbling and he's got all these blockades along the way, and it was just hilarious to me. It's just
Mhm.
it's next Martha's Vineyard.
I know that was so funny, right? Because I mean, he's trying to amp up the tourism. He kind of does, and then this happens, and so it's kind of like cutting against what his goals are. But I actually really
It was very
liked.
Jaws, right?
Yeah, and I actually really liked I think it was episode 8 or 9 maybe, the one with Patricia and, the boogeyman or whatever. That was awesome. I was dying because 'cause I'm like, "This woman is the only person in this entire town who's ever seen Halloween, and she is committed to not dying," and I love that for her. Because that's essentially what it was. It was like a riff on Halloween, and, like, everyone was making the stupidest choices except for Patricia. She is the only one who's like, "Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Nope, not doing it." Um, to the point where she even incinerates him, right? Like she's just like,
While pointing a shotgun at the
but she was making sure he was not getting back up. I love that episode.
She was such a good character and her performance was so good.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that. There's a couple of things I want to try on Apple TV, I guess, but I have so much to watch. I still haven't picked up Criminal Minds yet or X-Men 97, which I
Mm.
definitely need to do.
All right, any last thoughts? I was really excited by this episode and I can't wait for next week's.
Yeah, contrary to some of the opinions I'm seeing online, I think a lot has happened this season in terms of like exposition and telling us why things might be the way they are. I'm really excited to see where we land next episode, which is already the middle of the season.
And so, a little preview of what's coming next. We're going to be talking about episode 5 next week with Silo series author Hugh Howey. So, we're really excited for that. And if you want to submit a question to him for us to consider asking, you can email us or you can leave a comment or you can hop on the Discord and you can DM me or something. But yeah, we're excited to talk to him. We haven't talked to him since season 1. So, I got a lot to catch up on with him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Quick self promo. Wires from the Deep is brought to you by Pico's House, my company which offers a comprehensive slate of services for fiction authors. You can find out more by visiting www.picoshouse.com for details. If you're enjoying the interaction between me and Neoshia and happen to watch police procedurals, you can check us out in our other podcast, Romcom Detectives Castle Unit. I co-host that show with 2 other people to cover Lucifer and The Mentalist. You can check that out at romcomdetectives.com. Thank you to our listeners for joining us for another episode of Wires from the Deep. If you're enjoying our podcast, be sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And you can leave us a comment and let us know your thoughts on our discussion on our YouTube channel, or you can join conversations about the show on the Silo Series subreddit and the Down Deep Discord, where you can participate in discussions with other fans and chat live as new episodes drop. The Discord has really picked up in activity over the last few weeks, so we have a lot of like frenzied conversations speculating about what's coming, and it's really fun. So if you're into that kind of thing, please join us. But yeah, you can contact me at Neoshia. You can email us at crystal@thedowndeep.net. Tune in next week as we break down episode 5, Memory. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye, everyone.